Hey, mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Okay, it's working first try. Uh, I I'm not I'm not gonna be doing this all day, but uh, I am working on the sorting system for the most part. I am making up I'm using the wood here to make up the chests and the hoppers that I'm gonna need to do it. I'm shaking the bush, boss. I'm shaking the bush. Uh, oh my God, I don't know the person. They showed up in my feed, and I took them at I took them at their word that they were looking for a discussion. I think it was a she. She said, if I'm wrong, tell me where you think I'm wrong. And I usually when people say that, I very rarely meet people that actually want you to answer it. But hey, I that's the other thing. You get these people, they post their world problems on and they make it sound like they want help. And this is the thing too, that they say, girls will tell you their problems, but they don't. They just want to whine. They don't want any help fixing them. Uh, but they threw a thing up, and it was about Taylor Swift, and I. There was a lot of hubbub over the weekend about the Grammys. Uh, I think it was bullshit. Um, it could be the far right. It could be the far right targeting her for, the fact that she's gonna probably help Biden get elected. But it also could be the far left because she isn't fucking supporting Dean Phillips or RFK Jr. or something, like some fucking stupid shit, or that she isn't supporting Trump. Yeah, there's some out there. Um, I don't know if it's completely the Bernie or bust crowd, but it's the mentality. Um, I ran into that when he ran in 2016. Uh, there there was a lot of speculation. Um, you go. I mean, I'm not kidding. After he dropped out and physically, just physically went out there to support Hillary, you had and it was, I think it was found out to be a Russian plot, but um, you had people out there, and I think it was Russian farms of hackers and trolls that were doing it. But you had this group of people. They were the Bernie or bust crowd. Um, that that were reading these things, like they started this campaign, letter writing campaign, and I was friends with some of them. And they'd be, oh, he can still win, and I go, are you guys fucking nuts? I go, if he couldn't beat Hillary, when he was running, how do you think he's going to win a 3-person race when he's not even running? I go, he dropped out. He threw his support. And here's the other thing. You know, these people on the far left, they're really the left-leaning version of the Tea Party. I mean that with all due respect, but, you know, these are people, some of them, are completely decent people. Completely decent people, but when you get them on politics, they turn into the dumbest fucking person in the room. Just like the Tea Party. And and he yeah, and they did. And if he was truly their leader, you know, if he was their leader, you know, like a normal political group, when he told them, I'm dropping out, I want you to throw your support behind me, they would have been there if he was really leading them. But like the Tea Party, they don't want leaders, they want spokespeople who are going to go to Washington and do whatever dumb shit they want, regardless of the facts on the ground or anything like that. I mean, say what you want, but that's what they want. And it's just sad. It's just really sad. And then I got into a discussion with it, and these guys were kind of dumb fucks. I don't want to get into it, but the one guy, I didn't block him, but I just got it to where, he might have blocked me, but I just got it to where his shit didn't show up on my feed. Yeah, he could go and read my page or whatever, but the stuff he posted just no longer showed up for me because, you know, I'm gonna get off of this real quick, but I think it's important because we're coming up on the cycle. You know, let your uncle AFKC help you out a little bit. But he was posting something complaining of why Hillary wasn't adopting Bernie's proposal. I go, well, because he lost. He wasn't smart enough to figure out that the reason why she wasn't adopting his bullshit. Well, I went out and campaigned for him. I went and knocked on doors and handed out flyers and stuff. I was a Bernie guy. I just wasn't a fucking Bernie or bust dipshit. I wasn't a left-leaning version of the Tea Party. When I saw Bernie, that looked like a Democrat. That looked like an FDR Truman Democrat. You go back 50, 60 years, Republicans looked like Democrats. And Democrats looked like Bernie. And the modern day Republican Party, they were the ones that were siding with Hitler. We can see it again. And they were the ones that were covered in piss because they've got medication for those mental defects now. But back then they were fucking locked in rooms by their family. They were kept out of sight. I'm exaggerating, but not a lot. But they it is what it is. You know, we've got a mental health problem, and it's the Republican Party. And that wasn't the case like 40 years ago. I'm not going to get into. I could go into a whole thing on this, but I'm going to use my valuable time that I'm coherent to talk about this. But he and then another time it was he was wondering why she wasn't giving more of her people that write they're the ones that go to the conventions and then they write the party platform. I'm not sure if I'm describing it right, but he didn't understand why she wasn't giving him more. she wasn't giving him all, and I go, Jesus Christ. I go, she won. She didn't have to give him any. I go, she didn't give the other losers fucking any delegates. You guys are just, I mean, they were just fucking nuts. It's like, there we go. Ooh. But I mean, they were just gimme. It just, I mean, I'm not kidding you. They were like the fucking Tea Party, and I at one point, and this is when I just didn't catch any more of the guy's post, but he was mad. Again, he was in denial about how the world works and stuff, and we got into a discussion. Well, okay, why don't they listen to young people? And I go, well, most of them are, recreational drug users. I go, I mean, again, I go, I'm not saying all of them, but most of this demographic that you're describing, a lot of them are, pot users, maybe harder stuff, taking ecstasy. And I go, they know that drug users are not a good base. I think he wanted to know why they weren't pushing, yeah, I know that he wanted to know why they weren't pushing marijuana legalization. And that's what it was. And he goes, well, there's like 50,000 people in each district or whatever, or something like that. He had the numbers, and I think they were actually right. But you could, if you said you were going to legalize marijuana, there's people who don't vote that might get out and vote. Same way, like if you say you're going to declassify like the JFK files, there's some people that you might win over that don't normally vote. Presidents out there, you got a chance to win this by telling the truth and not lying like the Republicans do. But and I go, the reason they're not doing that is because drug users are not a reliable voting base. And then he goes, well, okay, then why don't they vote? Why don't they vote the way, students want, like they do for retirees? Your Social Security people, they cater to them. They don't listen to us. I go, because you guys don't vote. I go, if you guys started voting, they might. If you guys started voting, he goes, well, if they don't do it, I'm just going to stay home. I go, well, I go again. I go, and he was getting pissed because I had a fucking answer for everything. And I can't do it now, but I can remember the highlights of it. But I go, well, if you're not going to vote, they don't really see any difference between people who vote and people who won't vote because they won't kiss their ass. I go, if you were going to go vote for the other guy, they might, but they know you're going to probably be fucking recovering from a bong, all that bong resin in your forehead, and not go out and vote on election day. And then he was just mad. And I go, well, okay. I go, I got a question. I go, you feel so strongly about Sanders. I go, I volunteered for him. I was only able to do it a couple days because I was starting, this is when I was in the midst of getting sick. And I go, I could only go out and walk a few days. Because I had to make sure I was good enough to go into work because I didn't feel it was right to go out and do this and then call in sick for work. And but I went out a few days and campaigned for him. And I go, I did that. I go, did you volunteer? How much did you volunteer? And I go, I'm not looking for a lot. I didn't do a lot, but I go, I got out and I campaigned for him. I worked for the campaign. I go, I bought some of his swag. Because, you know, if you want somebody who's not owned by corporate America, you got to pay for it. You know, if you got somebody that is not taking donations from them, then you got to support the campaign, or it ain't gonna work. I go, I bought a couple hats, a couple T-shirts, I think a sweatshirt. I think I threw them out when it was over, but I bought them so he got the money for his campaign. I go, how much did you do? I go, did you go vote for him? You know, because I go, you know, bitching about it on Facebook. You know, going to the rallies, that means nothing. That means shit. You have to go. You did go and vote in the primary, right? And his answer was, fuck you. And I can't, you know, I can't fix stupid. I can muffle it with duct tape, but I can't fix stupid. And that's what you were dealing with. And they're dealing with it now. So, you know, I really don't know who's doing it, but they fucking went off on Taylor Swift because of, first she didn't kiss the presenter's ass enough, then suddenly it was somehow her fault that the woman was wearing a jacket because she had the same dress on as Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift made her put it, something like that. I don't, it was fucking delusional. And I'm not the only one. Somebody else, this is how I found out about them getting pissed that Celine Dion was wearing a jacket. And he goes, these people are fucking nuts. And, you know, and it might be that they're Russian trolls. They absolutely could be. They might not be any actual voters. They might not even be Americans. But, cause I've run into a few on threads that I'm positive they're Russian trolls, stirring shit up. And because you know they seem to have a liberal bent, but after a while they seem to have, they only care about stuff that Putin and Trump would care about, like, you know, the charges against Alec Baldwin, and you know, that was when I first, I'm like, wait a minute. You guys are starting to sound like Trump supporters, you know, and then one of them was, so, oh, well, maybe Trump and Putin are right on, yeah, okay, I'll find the block button on this, but, yeah, I'm pretty sure they were Russian trolls, but, you know, he pointed out, he goes, my God, he goes, I just pointed out that she's like a grandma, and some of them old people, they're cold. They're wearing that because they're cold, and they just fucking lost. It's like, I think it might be a case of a Russian troll just trying to make, because I think Trump and Putin are worried that she might, because I mean, she goes into a city to give a concert, she tells her supporters they got to register to vote. The next day there's like 50,000 people registering to vote. That's power. That is absolutely power. And I think their worst fear is that she's going to endorse Biden and fuck up their whole little plans about getting the orange Mangolini in charge again. But, the appeals court denied his claims of immunity. So it's either dead or it's going to get picked up by the Supreme Court. And so that's good news. But yeah, that's just fucking nuts. Okay, Vatican City is the smallest sovereign state in the world. Okay. It's called Vatican City, but it is the smallest sovereign state in the world. And Some say they had secrets because of what they've done, but big secrets are not always old secrets. Before the current Pope got in, rumors circulated about the mob in the Vatican Bank. I can't remember if I talked about it or not, but I think it was with the last Pope thing. The prop. I think it was covered there. I think I talked about when this Pope got in. He started. He gave like access to the Vatican Bank, and it was unbelievable. And they talked about it that there's rumors that there's a lot of mob money in there. And there's very serious allegations during World War II that they collaborated with the Nazis. Documents seem to back up helping them escape. But I think they were early on collaborating with them. But it does sound like there is some documentation that the Vatican helped, or at least cardinals, bishops helped some of the Nazis escape. Conspiracy theories that they use a telescope to secretly search for aliens. I'm not an expert on this, but the Vatican has many scientists. They have good people in all branches of scientists. Well, they might keep it a secret like any country would. I don't think it's a secret that they are doing it. I'll get into this a little bit more, but this goes into the Twilight Zone. I don't know, but I'll get into this in a little bit. A guy from the show would like to know every secret they are hiding. He thinks you would be able to rewrite history. And on some level, I think, at least in a limited case, he might be right. Because I do think, but the thing is, the current people might not know, but I do think that there's a chance that there was a lie about Jesus. I believe the Da Vinci Code, or at least aspects of it. It's based on older actual. That was a novel, but God, I wish I could remember the name of the book. But it's like Holy Blood, Holy Christ, or something like that. It's an older book, pretty much had everything in it, but it was not written as a fantasy book. But there was an older book. It's like the Jesus version of the guy behind the Ancient Aliens. Guy who wrote Chariots of the Gods or something like that. But he's that version, but for Jesus, and he wrote it. He goes, I wish I could sue him for plagiarism because he got all his ideas from my book. I saw him in a documentary. It was something like that, but he told it as a story, and I don't know. Okay, now the Vatican Secret Archives is miles long. I think they said it was like 50 miles long, but I think another one I watched, it was bigger than that. But I would say it's at least 50 miles long. It's just accurate to say it's miles long. Has the most important data from the Vatican and houses the Pope's personal logs or journals or whatever going back over 1,000 years. I'm not regretting doing this, but I watched this one because I'll get into that later. The literal translation is personal archives. When you see the thing up there in Latin or Italian, it's got a word that looks like secret, and I think that's where it's gotten that. But a guy in there said the literal translation is personal archives. not the Vatican secret archives, but just personal archives. Uh, Scholars are allowed limited access to the archives. Some data and the Pope's personal data requires 70 years to access. And really, when you look at our national archives, there's something similar there. There's limited literary, scholarly access, but a lot of it, unless you've got a security clearance, it's not accessed for years. So you know that I don't know, but it seemed to me that they were putting this fucking mystery about it. But it's like again, you think of it as a church, but it's really its own country. And what the fuck? I thought that was immune on grass. Oh well. Makes a little more sense now when I was watching the stuff about the last Pope prophecy, and they were talking about. Now this was like early on. It was about 1,000 years ago, but they were talking about how that guy's prophecy was hidden for like 300, 400, 500 years. Well, it makes more sense now because that would have probably been secret. Because it's similar to the Fatima story, and those were secret for a number of years. And when when you're talking like that long ago, almost roughly 1,000 years ago, records weren't that good, so it could very well be that it was misplaced or it wasn't misplaced, but the people that were in charge of it died and they forgot about it. I mean, there's 100 reasons, but that made a little more sense when they explained that that they just don't make it publicly accessible. Some stuff is limited to the Pope's view, I guess. And like JFK, Roswell, and other information that we keep hidden, okay, I forgot something. I didn't make notes on it. Some of the Vatican stuff. Yeah, I forgot. There's a conspiracy. I don't know if it's a conspiracy. I guess I did take some notes on it, but they got they think the Pope. I can't remember his name, but it's the Pope that was in there during World War II. They think that some people think that he helped the Nazis. There's other people that thinks he did everything he could to thwart the Nazis, but we'll never know. The theory is we'd never know because it takes like 3/4 of a century before they ever make any of that stuff available. Well, and I would say, like JFK, Roswell, and other information that we keep hidden, any involvement with Nazis will likely never see the light of day. There's something I forgot in there, but that's the note I got to add in. But and some say the Vatican did it; they were able to thwart the Nazis, helping hide the Jews or escape. And Pope Francis, to clear up the issue, gave early access to either some or all of the records. I think they said it was like 9 years early. He gave up. He made that Pope's papers available 9 years early to help clear it up. So I would say that he at least has nothing to hide. Yeah, I don't know if I can say the same for JFK or Roswell, because I gotta be honest with you. Like when the president got in there and he released some information. I mean, my God, Biden's old. He wasn't even in office. He wasn't even in the government back then. Everybody that's involved with the JFK assassination is probably dead. There is, and I mean this sincerely. unless there's some truth, to the fact that JFK was killed because of the alien, which I don't know if I want to see some proof before I believe it. But unless there's some truth to that, why in the fuck aren't they declassifying everything? And like even the Vatican, they're releasing the stuff around the Nazis. That was before JFK. If they can release that, we should be able to release everything in the JFK files. Just absolutely everything about it. Okay, one guest on the show, around this time, he really seems to have more of a bias than normal. If you want to watch it, see if you can guess who I'm talking about. And this is it. I don't know if every episode is available on Tubi, but a lot of them are, and this one is. I'm pretty sure you can. I think this is where I watched it, was Tubi. When I go to Prime and I search for this, it gives me Philo, Tubi, and there's supposedly 7 seasons, but I think it's like 2 or 3 seasons, and like they'll show you like season 1 is on Max and something or other, and I like when I watch these on TV, I don't think they've got the titles the same as what's online, because the Vatican one, I thought and it might be a different show, I might have it confused, bear with me, but there was one that my brother was watching. I told him to record it because I wanted to watch it. I became interested because I wanted to do a show on it. It was supposed to be the Vatican one, and I think it was on the Vatican Secret Archives or whatever. Well, they were talking. Either that or I missed it when I was watching it. It could be, but they were fucking just, gung ho about the Vatican Bank and whatnot. That took up a lot of the show. And but there was one that I swear to God, I thought it was secret Vatican pagan worship or something going on. They were doing it in secret. That wasn't mentioned in here at all. So I gotta look around, but this still I thought was a good one. Okay, in 1978, Pope John Paul I died 30 days after he took office. Officially, it was cardiac arrest, but this was their words, not mine. He seemed to die mysteriously while trying to reform stuff. And if they're right, we're lucky this Pope didn't get killed, because he sounded like he was doing a lot of things that this Pope was doing. It looked like he was looking into the bank, and that bank started it in World War II, and I don't think I covered this. I really didn't want to spend a lot of time on the bank because I wanted to get to the later stuff. But I watched the whole thing, and there is speculation that the Nazis put a lot of money into the bank, and when the Nazis fell, the Vatican kept it, is the speculation. Hi there, sweetie. Okay, now, as this is, now it might just be because I've got that big thing up there, but you do have to deal with a few Vex. You know, but this one I really highly recommend it if you are at least any bit interested. Go check the whole, read the whole, go ahead and watch the whole thing, because the stuff on the Vatican Bank was interesting. I just didn't want to cover it for this, but so some speculate he was murdered, and they said mobster. I might not got this right, but Anthony Romandi, I think. I had no idea how to spell it. He was a cousin to the Archbishop at the time and the nephew of Lucky Luciano. I think he's one of the guys that formed the first 5 families. I'm not an expert on Italian history, but I think he's one of the founding fathers of the family system in New York mob. Confirmed that is what happened. And I think he made the claim that he went over and helped poison the Pope. Which goes in the face of that last Pope, one of those last Pope things I was watching. Because they said that if the mob ever killed the Vatican Pope, that their mothers would never speak to him again or something. I don't know. But it is interesting. It was very fucking interesting. Don't want to spend any more time on the bank, but it's very good. This is available on Tubi. I don't know if the whole series is, but it is worth checking out. Well, now is a good time to ask for you to ask your elected officials to legalize assisted suicide. If the church don't like it, look at the horrible shit have they done. We haven't even gotten to the kids. Who are they to judge? So let's go ahead and get that going. The Vatican study of the stars goes back to the 1600s. I think Pope Gregory the 13th is the one who started it. Despite all the conspiracy, the reason is the church used to use its own calendar. I did not know this. Or at least if I ever knew this, I don't remember it. I was this days old to realize that they used to use their own calendar. And they needed astronomy to make it accurate, and so that's why he built the building for the observatory building. There's a special name for it, but the observatory building in Vatican City. And so that was interesting shit. Since the 1990s, the main Vatican observatory is in the U.S. That is also news. Using the idea of a crisis inducer, if you've ever read Douglas Adams, I don't know if it was in the book or if it was the radio play, but a crisis inducer, it was something that for bored people. And what you do is it would create a crisis. And I think I'm mixing up two things, but I'm not going to tell you where it is. Not that it's secret, but not telling you more interesting, at least for me, than telling you. But I will say this, they did have trespassing signs. It would be interesting to test it and see if they will forgive those who trespass upon them, like the good book says. But they did have trespassing signs. An author says they are looking for E.T. I'm trying to keep an open mind that that's a pretty shitty way to sell books. He literally had no proof. You know, it's you know, it just seemed like a shitty way to sell books. Father, I can't pronounce or spell. I really can't. I think he was a Franciscan. Man, they had these old pictures of, I guess, like a cardinal, and they were all fancy. You know, looking through the telescope of looking through the scope on the observatory, and he was all dressed up. Boy, this guy was wearing his he was wearing his oh the skiing gear. It's a pretty, not Carhartt, I don't think, but it's a pretty famous. I can't think of it now. I'm feeling it, but he really was dressed down. They had him there, but I think he's the head of the observatory. But I just I tried, I listened to it like twice, and I'm like, I'm not gonna figure that out. He was a really nice guy, but I just can't figure out how to pronounce or even spell his name. He said that science and religion were not incompatible, and he interlocked his fingers. Well, I really wonder how Copernicus and Galileo would feel about that. I just wonder how they'd feel about that. Conspiracy thinks that the Vatican believes the second. Yeah, this is that guy. I think it's the guy that wrote the book. Conspiracy theorists think that the Vatican believes the second coming of Jesus will be an alien. I don't know. I don't know if Jesus is ever coming back. I'm not even 100% sure, but I put more faith in that world is going to end thing, that last Pope prophecy, than I do of Jesus coming back. Because I think it's more than likely a lie that he was some supernatural, like he's the zombie, like he's the intergalactic zombie that came back from the dead for, God or whatever. I think that was just a story. But if the next Jesus, I don't know why they think it would be an alien. He would probably be another, virgin birth. Basically someone where they beam her up. If it is an alien, it'd be probably someone that they beam up, they plant him in her, put her back down, let her fucking raise it, and then they would talk to him and give him information, kind of like they did with, the other guy, if it's true. But maybe it's true, because this might be why we couldn't get a straight answer on the UFOs they shot down over the U.S. and Canada in 2022. It's a Chinese balloon. We got to see him shoot it down. We got to see all this footage of it. Then they got something else. Oh, we can't see that one. Well, why? Well, it's another Chinese balloon. Well, we saw the other one. China stuff isn't classified to us. And then that one, if it was another Chinese weather balloon, I mean, the story, they just, you think that they would get better at fucking lying. Maybe it's a good thing that they're not, but I'm not kidding you. Whoever came up with that line, they should be fired for being incompetent, because they couldn't lie their way out of a shit house. But the one in Canada, I am pretty sure that Canada could manage to shoot down a Chinese satellite. They had to have America go to Canada to shoot down a Chinese spy satellite. Yeah, that anybody that's dumb enough to believe that, I firmly believe that Chinese satellite that we did see, the balloon, not the satellite, I'm pretty sure the Salvation Army could shoot that down. I don't think you need to call in America. I think, the armed forces of Canada are more than capable of shooting that first one. If not, Russia might want to go attack Canada to redeem its fucking thing, because Ukraine was too much for them. When you read or hear about some of the books banned by the church, It sounds like Enoch and others might have been something similar. But again, like Enoch, he was fucking weird. The one of the banned books, he was like, he wasn't really, he didn't look normal. He was like an albino, white glowing skin. And again, I don't know, but this is the one that I think, unless I'm getting it mixed up. But that one in the Bible was banned for the church. Sounds like Enoch and others might have been something similar, and some other ancient historical figures. Like you go to China, there was one of the ancient emperors that was, might have been an alien creature, not from here. You read about Tutankhamun, or not, King Tut's father. Him, Nefertiti, King Tut, they all didn't look normal. They all had the elongated heads, and they all had weird stomachs. And so that they might not have been human. They're either one hell of a fucking, birth defect, or they might not have been human. This is a good time for our second call to action. Whether you elected officials in Washington, write your elected officials in Washington, unless they're a dick that belongs in jail, like one of my senators, and ask them to pass Senator Schumer's amendment. I'm going to harp on this, but they lose millions or billions every year. They've audited the military. They've had billions come up missing, and nobody's accountable. It's like when they had nukes come up missing. That happened under President George W. Bush. They had like 6 missiles, nuclear missiles, that were supposed to be written off. They're supposed to be decommissioned. That's the word for it. And they were on paper decommissioned. Well, they ended up being on this plane. Nobody knew about them. Well, I think it was Navy. It might have been Air Force or one of the other branches, but I think it was Navy. One of the crewmen on the ship, he noticed them. He's like, hey, these aren't supposed to be here. Well, then they looked at them. They're nuclear. They were live, and they were just going to get hidden. And I don't know, but I personally suspect that they were going to get used for like suitcase bombs and probably detonated in the Iran. And then they'd act like, oh, we don't know who this is. And when and this was, I think it was a transition between Rumsfeld and Gates. And Secretary Gates, he put some generals on it, and they came back after their search because he wanted to know why our fucking nuclear protocols failed so fucking badly. A good question. And he didn't get no answers. The generals acted just like they do every time they're asked about UFOs or missing money. They're like, oh, we don't know, and he fired them on the spot. I mean, they might not have fired them from the military, but they were fired from that job. And might have been, I don't know if they were demoted, but they were at least taken off that job to send a message that that's unacceptable. And that Chuck Schumer's amendment, it might find evidence of ET. It might be, but I guarantee you it will put a dent in the money that's being stolen from us. When that war, Rumsfeld, Bush, Cheney, that war was going over in Iraq, they had literally truckloads of money. And I'm not talking about like an armored truck, I'm talking about semis that just had pallets of fucking shrink wrapped money just went missing. And it was not an isolated event. And the whole attitude of Rumsfeld and others when it was going on was, well, it's no big deal. It's war. You know, blah, blah, blah. And who knows what we were funding? Who really knows what we were funding? We don't know if we were funding foreign terrorists, because like the Republicans under Bush and Cheney, or Bush and Reagan, Papa Bush, HW, they basically trained Bin Laden. You know, maybe we'll find out it funded the next fucking terrorist shitbag that fucking rains hell down us. Maybe that guy will take us out. And maybe it went into some dark project. Maybe we're going to take over. Maybe we're going to fucking destroy the world. We really don't know. And I got a feeling it might not put a stop to all of it, but I think it'll put a stop to a lot of it. And another thing you can write and tell them, the next time they fail an audit, you know, like you have this with Navy ships. If you know the captain can be asleep, he can be asleep, and the person in question who's in charge or manning the station, he could have been told. He could have been disobeying a direct order. He could have been fucking pissed off his girlfriend broke up with him. And if he fucks up on the ship, if he runs aground, he's done. That impacts his career. That's what should happen. They should find out. They should make some. I don't care if it's the base commander, the head of the Joint Chiefs in the Pentagon, but there should be somebody. And the higher up, the better off you're going to be. They need to make them accountable for all that missing money that comes up. You got. I mean, because that's why we have so few problems with the ships. You know, the captain's fault, his fault. I mean, I think he's still fucked if he's on vacation, if he isn't even on ship. That's why probably some of them don't take vacation. But we need to have the same kind of accountability. So, like, they need Chuck Schumer and that other Republican senator's bill to pass. I think that'll be a good day. It's got to be as they envision it, as the president helped them envision it. They can't put in amnesty. They got to put in the eminent domain for all things non-terrestrial, and it's just got to be. And they got to put this in where, you know, hey, until this does, the next time there's an audit, heads got to swing. If we're more than 1% off, somebody's got to get fired. Somebody's got to be embarrassingly fired. They got to maybe reduced in rank, maybe court-martialed. They got to do something. And I hate to say it, but some people are going to suffer. But then you will probably get to where they're not going to tolerate this money coming up missing. I can give you a billion reasons a year why we should want that. And the other thing is, you should write them and tell them that, until this bill is passed, you should basically, like any company that gets tax breaks, gets regulatory breaks. The pharmaceutical company gets it all the time for research and development. Any company that gets government contracts, anyone that gets any help in any way from the government should be subject to FOIA requests, and not just what limited thing. They should be subject to FOIA requests for everything, and they should have things that they don't have to. They can black out, but they should be like trade secrets or something else. And then that way, because it seems like the military has used these private companies to get around FOIA requests. And you need to make it so that they've got this thing. And this is a way, if you can't get this passed, there's other ways to kill this pig. there's other ways you can kill this pig, but you got to get to it. And so please write them and ask them to do that. Now, when I watched this, I was really glad to watch it. I thought it was a very interesting one. But like I said before, there was something on. It was talking about Vatican secrets. Maybe I heard it wrong. Maybe I was, I wasn't in the room watching, and I was doing something else. So maybe I misunderstood it. Maybe I just completely fantasized about it. I don't know. But there was one that I saw, and I'll watch. I gotta find it. I'll find it on the TV. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just wrong. But I thought there was one talking about pagan rituals the church was doing, and it really made me think of the shit they said about the Knights Templar. And I really wanted to do that one, but I don't think online they're like to watch on Tubi or whatever. I don't think they're listed as the same ones you see on TV. And I've noticed that with the Mary Magdala ones. They seem like they have a different name online than what you see on the TV. Or because it's the free channel, it's slightly different. Like Tubi isn't free, it's free with commercials. So maybe that's what. But because I've seen the same show and I'm positive they had two different names. But that was the one I was really hoping, and that wasn't. But the search continues. Well, as you can see, my again, I can't leave it. I can't leave it alone because one, even if I had it where it would auto restart with the Vex and stuff, I can't. I gotta be here when I gotta be here and manually run it in case they do attack. But it's really rare. It's really rare. I still want to build. I at least want to get started on the sorting system. I want to get something done, but I am trying to think of what I'm gonna build next. And at least this, I can't do it while I'm doing these here because I can't concentrate on both. Got to do what I can, but I can at least show you when I get it done, like what it looks like, what it's like. I will search for the next big build. I can maybe show you some progress as I do it. Hopefully you'll like it when I get it done, and I am going to continue with these stories. Whatever time I got left. I just hope you enjoyed it. Peace out and take care.